Chidinma stood frozen in the doorway of her mother's tiny bedroom, her hands shaking as she held a worn shoebox filled with letters. The funeral guests had left hours ago, but she couldn't bring herself to leave this small, cramped apartment that had always embarrassed her. Now, as she read the letter in her trembling fingers, her world was crashing down around her. "My dearest Chidinma," the letter began in her mother's careful handwriting. "If you are reading this, then I am gone, and you have finally found my secret box. I pray you will understand why I never told you the truth about everything I gave up for you." Chidinma's eyes blurred with tears as she read the next line. "I turned down the scholarship to become a doctor so I could work 3 jobs to pay for your school fees. I never wanted you to feel guilty, so I pretended I was just a lazy woman who couldn't do better." The letter slipped from her fingers and fell to the floor. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, please subscribe to my channel. Turn on the bell notification icon so that you will be the first to be notified anytime I drop a new story. Just 3 days ago, she had screamed at her mother for the last time, calling her worthless, and "the reason my life is so hard." Those were the last words she ever spoke to the woman who had given her everything. But this was only the beginning of the secrets that would destroy everything Chidinma thought she knew about her life. 3 months earlier. "Mama, you're so embarrassing," Chidinma shouted as she slammed her textbooks on the kitchen table. The small apartment shook from the force, and a few dishes rattled in the sink. "Why can't you just be normal like other mothers?" Adiz looked up from where she was ironing clothes at 11 p.m., her tired eyes filled with hurt. She had just returned from her night shift at the hospital where she worked as a cleaner, and her uniform was still damp with sweat. Her daughter's words cut deep, but she had learned to hide her pain behind a gentle smile. "What did I do wrong this time, my dear?" Adiz asked softly, setting down the iron. She had been working since 4 a.m. that morning, but Chidinma didn't know that. She never knew that her mother worked multiple jobs. "Mrs. Akwu came to our school today for the parent-teacher meeting," Chidinma said, her voice dripping with anger. "She was wearing a beautiful dress and driving a nice car. But you showed up in that old, torn dress and took the bus. Everyone was staring at us. I wanted to hide under my desk." Adiz's heart broke a little more. She had been so excited to attend her daughter's school meeting. She had even bought a small cake to celebrate Chidinma's good grades, spending money she didn't have. But all her daughter saw was shame. "I'm sorry, Chi-Chi," Adiz whispered, using the pet name she had called her daughter since birth. "I know I'm not like the other mothers. I wish I could give you everything you want. You don't even try." Chidinma exploded. "You just work as a cleaner and complain about being tired all the time. Why can't you get a real job? Why can't you make something of yourself? I'm tired of being the poor girl at school." Adiz flinched as if she had been slapped. If only her daughter knew the truth. If only she knew that just that morning, Adiz had been on her hands and knees scrubbing floors at the bank, then rushed to her second job at the market selling vegetables, and then to her third job at the hospital. Also, Chidinma could attend the best private school in the city. "Chi-Chi, I work hard every day for you," Adiz said quietly. "Everything I do is for your future." "That's a lie," Chidinma screamed. "You're just making excuses because you're lazy. Look at this place." She waved her hand around the small apartment with its peeling paint and old furniture. "We live like rats while other people have nice things. And it's all your fault." Adiz's hands trembled as she picked up the iron again. She couldn't tell her daughter the truth. She couldn't tell her that she had been accepted to medical school 20 years ago with a full scholarship. She couldn't tell her that she had given up her dreams when she found out she was pregnant with Chidinma. She couldn't tell her that every day she worked those 3 jobs, she remembered the doctor she could have been. "I'm going to my room," Chidinma said coldly. "And don't come in to say goodnight. I don't want to see you right now." As Chidinma stomped to her room and slammed the door, Adiz finally let the tears fall. She pressed her hand to her mouth to muffle her sobs, not wanting her daughter to hear her crying. This was her life now, working until her body ached, being blamed for everything, and loving a daughter who seemed to hate her more each day. But what Chidinma didn't know was that every night after these fights, Adiz would stand outside her daughter's bedroom door, listening to her breathe, and whispering prayers of gratitude that she was healthy and safe. She would touch the door gently and whisper, "I love you, my Chi-Chi, even if you don't love me back." The next morning, Chidinma woke up to find her school uniform freshly ironed and her breakfast ready on the table. There was even a small note, "Have a wonderful day at school, my precious daughter. Mama." But instead of feeling grateful, Chidinma felt more annoyed. Why did her mother have to be so caring? It made her feel guilty for being angry, and she didn't want to feel guilty. She wanted to stay mad. At school, Chidinma's best friend Jennifer noticed her sour mood. "You look terrible," Jennifer said as they walked to their first class. "Did you fight with your maid again?" "She's not a maid, she's my mother," Chidinma corrected, though she sometimes wished she could pretend otherwise. "And yes, we fought. She embarrassed me again yesterday." Jennifer rolled her eyes. "I don't know why you let her get to you. My mom says poor people just don't know how to act in public. It's not their fault they weren't raised properly." Chidinma felt a strange anger rise in her chest at Jennifer's words, but she pushed it down. Instead, she nodded and said, "You're right. I just wish I had been born into a different family." What Chidinma didn't see was her mother watching from across the street, having walked 30 minutes to bring her the lunch she had forgotten at home. Adiz had missed her lunch break at the bank to bring it to her daughter, and she would have to work an extra hour to make up for the lost time. But when she saw Chidinma laughing with her friends, looking happy and carefree, she smiled and walked away quietly. That evening, Chidinma came home to find her mother asleep at the kitchen table, her head resting on a pile of bills. There were dark circles under her eyes, and her hands were rough and cracked from all the cleaning she did. For just a moment, Chidinma felt a pang of something. Was it guilt? Worry? But then she remembered how embarrassed she had felt at school, and her heart hardened again. "Mama, wake up," she said roughly, shaking her mother's shoulder. "You're drooling on the table." Adiz startled awake, immediately alert. "Chi-Chi, you're home. How was school? Are you hungry? I can make you something to eat." "I already ate at Jennifer's house," Chidinma lied. The truth was, she hadn't eaten anything since breakfast, but she didn't want to admit that her mother's cooking was actually the best food she ever tasted. Her mother made this amazing pasta dish. It was so much better than anything you make. Adiz's face fell, but she nodded. "That's good, my dear. I'm glad you had a nice meal. Why are you always so tired?" Chidinma asked, and for a moment, there was genuine concern in her voice. "Other mothers don't fall asleep at the table." Adiz looked at her daughter, and for a second, she almost told her the truth. She almost explained about the 3 jobs, about the bills, about the sacrifice. But then she saw the impatience in Chidinma's eyes and decided against it. I didn't sleep well last night," Adiz said. "I was worried about you." "Worried about me? Why?" Chidinma asked, though she didn't really want to know the answer. "Because you're growing up so fast," Adiz said softly. "And sometimes I worry that I'm not good enough for you, that I'm not the mother you deserve." Chidinma felt that strange pang in her chest again, but she pushed it away. "Well, you're right about that," she said coldly. "I'm going to study." As Chidinma walked to her room, she missed the way her mother's shoulders sagged, the way her hands trembled as she gathered up the bills. She missed the single tear that rolled down her mother's cheek. That night, Chidinma lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She could hear her mother moving around in the kitchen, probably cleaning up after another long day. She tried to feel angry, tried to hold on to her resentment, but something was nagging at her. Why did her mother always look so tired? Why were there always so many bills on the table? And why did she sometimes catch her mother staring at her with such sad, loving eyes? But before she could think about it too much, exhaustion took over, and she fell asleep. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Adiz was counting the money she had earned that day. It wasn't enough. It was never enough. Chidinma's school fees were due next week, and she was still short. She would have to ask her boss at the bank if she could work extra hours, even though her body was already screaming for rest. She looked at the photograph on the wall, the only picture she had of herself and Chidinma together, taken when her daughter was 5 years old. In the photo, Chidinma was laughing, her small arms wrapped around her mother's neck. Those were simpler times, when her daughter still called her the best mama in the world. "I'm trying so hard, Chi-Chi," Adiz whispered to the photograph. "I know I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. I just want you to be proud of me one day." But as she turned off the lights and headed to her small bedroom, Adiz had no idea that in just a few months, her daughter would discover the truth about everything. And by then, it would be too late for apologies, too late for understanding, and too late for all the words they should have said to each other. The next morning brought a phone call that would change everything, though neither mother nor daughter knew it yet. The phone rang at 6 a.m., waking both women from their restless sleep. "Hello," Adiz answered, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "Mrs. Adiz? This is Mr. Okafor from the hospital. We need you to come in early today. One of our other cleaners called in sick, and we have a big inspection coming." Adiz's heart sank. She had been planning to spend the morning with Chidinma, maybe make her favorite breakfast and try to bridge the gap between them. But she needed this job, needed every penny she could earn. "I'll be there in an hour," she said quietly. As she hung up the phone, Chidinma appeared in the doorway, her hair messy from sleep. "Who was that?" she asked, not really caring about the answer. "Work," Adiz said simply. "I have to leave early today." "Of course you do," Chidinma said with a bitter laugh. "You always have to leave early or stay late or work weekends. Maybe if you had a real job instead of cleaning toilets, you wouldn't have to work so much." Adiz felt something crack inside her chest. She had been holding back the truth for so long, protecting her daughter from the weight of their reality. But maybe it was time to stop hiding. "Chidinma," she said slowly, "there's something I need to tell you." But before she could finish, Chidinma held up her hand. "Save it, Mama. I don't want to hear another excuse about how hard your life is. Just go to work and leave me alone." Adiz's mouth closed, the words dying in her throat. She nodded and began gathering her things, moving like a woman carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. As she reached the door, she turned back one last time. "I love you, Chi-Chi. No matter what you think of me, I love you more than life itself." Chidinma didn't respond. She just turned and walked back to her room, missing the way her mother's hands shook as she opened the door, missing the way her mother paused as if she wanted to say something else, something important. If Chidinma had looked back, she might have seen her mother mouth the words, "I'm sorry I'm not enough for you." But she didn't look back, and that decision would haunt her for the rest of her life. As the door closed behind her mother, Chidinma felt a strange emptiness in the apartment. It was too quiet, too still. She tried to shake off the feeling and focus on getting ready for school, but something felt wrong. She walked to the kitchen to get some water and noticed something she had never seen before. On the counter, partially hidden under a dish towel, was a small notebook. Curiosity got the better of her, and she pulled it out. It was her mother's handwriting, but the pages were filled with numbers, calculations, and what looked like a schedule. As Chidinma read, her eyes grew wide. Monday, bank 4 a.m. to 10 a.m., market 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., hospital 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., Tuesday. Bank 4 a.m. to 10 a.m., market 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., hospital 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. The pattern continued for every day of the week. At the bottom of the page, in her mother's careful handwriting, was a note. Chidinma's school fees. N150,000. Saved so far, N89,000. Need N61,000 more by next month. Chidinma's hands began to shake as she flipped through more pages. There were calculations about groceries, rent, utilities, and always at the top of every page, Chidinma's education priority number 1. On the last page she read, there was something that made her blood run cold. Skipped breakfast and lunch today to save money for Chi-Chi's textbooks. She needs new ones for next term. I can eat tomorrow. The notebook fell from her hands and clattered to the floor. Chidinma stared at it in shock, her mind racing. 3 jobs? Working from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m.? Skipping meals? But before she could process what this meant, before she could understand the full weight of what she had discovered, she heard footsteps in the hallway outside their apartment. Heavy, urgent footsteps that seemed to be heading straight for their door. Then came the knock that would change everything forever. The knocking grew louder and more urgent. Mrs. Adiz, Mrs. Adiz, please open the door. It's Dr. Emeka from the hospital. Chidinma's heart stopped. Why was a doctor at their door? And why did he sound so panicked? She ran to the door, her mother's notebook still on the floor behind her, and yanked it open. A tall man in a white coat stood there, his face grave and his breathing heavy as if he had been running. Are you Chidinma? Your mother's daughter? Yes, Chidinma whispered, though something deep in her stomach told her she didn't want to hear what he was about to say. Your mother collapsed at the hospital, Dr. Emeka said gently. She's been taken to the emergency room. You need to come with me now. The world seemed to tilt sideways. Chidinma grabbed the doorframe to steady herself. Collapsed? But she just left for work. She was fine. I'm afraid she wasn't fine, the doctor said softly. How long has your mother been working 3 jobs? Chidinma's mouth fell open. 3 jobs? I don't know what you're talking about. Dr. Emeka's expression grew even more serious. Your mother has been working as a cleaner at our hospital for 2 years. But today, one of her coworkers told me she also works at the bank in the morning and at the market in the afternoon. Is that true? The notebook, the schedule, the numbers. It was all true. Chidinma felt like she was drowning in air. I didn't know, she whispered. We need to go now, Dr. Emeka said. She's asking for you. The ride to the hospital was a blur of fear and confusion. Chidinma sat in the passenger seat, her mind racing with questions she had never thought to ask. Why didn't she know her mother worked 3 jobs? Why had her mother hidden it from her? And most importantly, was her mother going to be okay? At the hospital, Dr. Emeka led her through sterile white corridors that smelled of disinfectant and fear. Other patients and their families filled the waiting areas, some crying, some praying, all hoping for good news. She's in room 23, Dar. Emeka said as they stopped outside a door with a small window. But I need to prepare you for what you're about to see. Chidinma's hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold them still. What's wrong with her? Your mother is suffering from severe exhaustion and malnutrition, the doctor explained. Her body has been running on empty for months, maybe years. She collapsed because she hasn't been eating properly, and she's been working herself to the point of physical breakdown. Malnutrition, Chidinma repeated, the word feeling foreign on her tongue. But we eat every day. She always makes dinner. Dr. Emeka looked at her with gentle eyes. When was the last time you saw your mother eat a full meal? Chidinma opened her mouth to answer, then closed it. When had she last seen her mother eat? She tried to remember, but all she could recall was her mother serving her food, asking if she wanted seconds, making sure she had enough. But eating herself? Chidinma couldn't remember a single time. She's been starving herself to feed you, Dr. Emeka said quietly, and working herself to death to pay for your education. The words hit Chidinma like a physical blow. She stumbled backward, her legs suddenly weak. No, she whispered. No, that's not. She never told me. She didn't want you to know, Dr. Emeka said. She made us promise not to tell you how many times she's come to the hospital over the past months, asking for medicine but never being able to afford it. She would ask us to treat her for free, and when we couldn't, she would just leave. Chidinma felt like she was going to be sick. She's been coming to the hospital? For what? Chest pains, fainting spells, severe headaches. Dr. Emeka listed. All symptoms of overwork and malnutrition. But every time, she would say she couldn't afford treatment because she needed to save money for her daughter's school fees. The world spun around Chidinma. Her mother had been sick, had been suffering, and she had never known. While she was complaining about being embarrassed, her mother was literally killing herself to give her a better life. "Can I see her?" Chidinma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Emeka nodded and opened the door. The sight that greeted Chidinma made her gasp out loud. Her mother looked so small in the hospital bed, so fragile and thin. Tubes and wires connected her to various machines, and her face was pale and gaunt. But the worst part was her eyes. They were open, and they were looking at Chidinma with such love and worry. "Chi-Chi," Adiz whispered, her voice weak but filled with joy. "You came." Chidinma rushed to her mother's bedside, tears streaming down her face. "Mama, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me you were working 3 jobs? Adiz tried to smile, but it came out as more of a grimace. "I didn't want you to worry, my dear. I wanted you to focus on your studies." "But you're starving yourself," Chidinma cried. "The doctor said you have malnutrition. How could you not eat?" "I eat," Adiz said weakly. "I eat when I can. But your school fees are more important than my meals." Chidinma felt like her heart was being torn in half. All those times she had complained about their small apartment, their old furniture, their lack of money, her mother had been giving up everything, even food, to provide for her. "I found your notebook," Chidinma said through her tears. "I saw the schedule, the calculations. Mama, you work from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. When do you sleep?" "I sleep when I can," Adiz said, reaching out to touch her daughter's face. "But seeing you succeed in school, seeing you have opportunities one never had, that's worth more than sleep." "What opportunities?" Chidinma asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. Adiz's eyes grew distant, as if she was looking at something far away. "I was accepted to medical school when I was your age," she said quietly. "I had a full scholarship. I was going to be a doctor." Chidinma's blood turned to ice. "What happened?" "I found out I was pregnant with you," Adiz said simply. "And I chose you over my dreams. I chose to be your mother instead of being a doctor." The weight of this revelation crashed down on Chidinma like a building collapse. Her mother hadn't just sacrificed meals and sleep. She had sacrificed her entire future. She had given up her dream of becoming a doctor to raise her daughter. "You gave up medical school? For me?" Chidinma whispered. "It was the easiest choice I ever made," Adiz said, squeezing her daughter's hand. "You were worth more than any career, any dream. You still are." Chidinma broke down completely. She laid her head on her mother's chest and sobbed like a child. "I'm so sorry, Mama. I'm so sorry I blamed you for everything. I'm so sorry I said you were worthless. I'm so sorry I was ashamed of you." "Shoo!" Adiz whispered, stroking her daughter's hair with trembling fingers. "You don't need to apologize. You were just being a normal teenager. I understand." "No, you don't understand," Chidinma cried. "I said horrible things to you. I called you lazy. I said you were the reason my life was hard. But you were working yourself to death for me." "I would do it all again," Adiz said softly. "Every day of work, every skipped meal, every sacrifice. I would do it all again just to see you graduate and have a better life than mine." Dr. Emeka cleared his throat from the doorway. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to speak with you both about your mother's condition." Chidinma looked up, her face streaked with tears. "Is she going to be okay?" The doctor's expression was grave. "That depends on several factors. Your mother's body has been severely weakened by months of malnutrition and overwork. She needs immediate rest and proper nutrition, but more importantly, she needs to stop working so much." "I can't stop working," Adiz said weakly. "Chidinma's school fees are due next week. She needs her education." "Mama, no," Chidinma said firmly. "I'll drop out of school. I'll get a job. You need to rest." "Absolutely not," Adiz said, trying to sit up but too weak to manage it. "Your education is everything. It's your future. It's why I work so hard." "There might be another option," Dr. Emeka said carefully. "I've been watching your mother work at the hospital for 2 years. She's one of the hardest workers we've ever had. Always on time, always thorough, always kind to patients. I've spoken with the hospital administration, and we'd like to offer her a full-time position with benefits and a salary that would allow her to quit her other jobs. Chidinma felt a spark of hope. Really? You would do that? More than that, Dr. Emeka continued. The hospital has a scholarship program for children of employees. If your mother works full-time for us, your school fees would be covered. Adi's eyes filled with tears. You would really do that for us? Your mother has earned it, Dr. Emeka said. But there's one condition. She has to take care of her health. No more skipping meals, no more working herself to exhaustion. She needs to promise to eat properly and get adequate rest. Chidinma looked at her mother, hope and fear warring in her chest. This could be the answer to everything. Her mother could have one good job instead of 3 terrible ones, and Chidinma could continue her education without the crushing weight of knowing her mother was killing herself to pay for it. I promise, Adiz whispered. I promise I'll take care of myself. But as Dr. Emeka smiled and began explaining the details of the job offer, none of them noticed the way Adiz's breathing had become more labored, or the way her heart monitor was beginning to beep irregularly. It wasn't until Chidinma saw her mother's eyes roll back and her body go limp that she realized their problems were far from over. Mama! Chidinma screamed as alarms began blaring throughout the room. Mama, wake up! Dr. Emeka rushed forward, checking Adiz's pulse and calling for nurses. She's going into cardiac arrest, he shouted. We need to get her to surgery now. As medical staff rushed into the room and began wheeling her mother away, Chidinma felt her world collapsing around her. She had just discovered the truth about her mother's love and sacrifice, had just begun to understand the depth of what she had been given, and now she might lose her mother forever. Please, she whispered as they took her mother away. Please don't let her die. Not now. Not when I finally understand. But the hallway was empty, and all she could hear was the sound of her own heartbeat and the distant wail of sirens. Standing alone in the hospital corridor, Chidinma realized that all the apologies in the world might not be enough to save her mother. And if her mother died, she would have to live with the knowledge that the last real conversation they had was a fight, and the last words she had spoken to her were full of anger and shame. The waiting room clock ticked loudly as Chidinma sat in the hard plastic chair, praying to every god she could think of for another chance to tell her mother how much she loved her. But sometimes, second chances don't come when we need them most. 6 hours. 6 long, torturous hours Chidinma sat in that waiting room, watching other families come and go, some celebrating good news, others leaving with red, swollen eyes. The clock on the wall seemed to mock her, its hands moving so slowly she wondered if time itself had forgotten how to pass. At 3 a.m., Dr. Emeka finally emerged from the surgery doors, his scrubs stained and his face exhausted. Chidinma jumped up so quickly she nearly fell over. How is she? Chidinma asked, her voice hoarse from crying. Is she alive? She's alive, Dr. Emeka said, and Chidinma felt her knees nearly give out with relief. But we need to talk. They sat down in the quiet corner of the waiting room, away from the other worried families. Dr. Emeka looked at Chidinma with serious eyes that had seen too much pain. Your mother's heart stopped for almost 3 minutes, he said gently. We were able to bring her back, but the damage to her body is severe. Years of malnutrition and overwork have taken a toll that we can't undo overnight. What does that mean? Chidinma whispered, though she was afraid to hear the answer. It means your mother needs months of rest and proper care to recover. No work, no stress, just complete rest. And even then, Dr. Emeka paused, choosing his words carefully. Even then, there's no guarantee she'll fully recover. Chidinma felt the world spinning again. But the job offer, the scholarship, the offer still stands, Dr. Emeka said. But your mother won't be able to start working for at least 6 months, maybe longer. The question is, how will you survive until then? That's when the true weight of their situation hit Chidinma. No income for 6 months, rent to pay, food to buy, medical bills piling up, and her school fees still due next week. I'll drop out, Chidinma said without hesitation. I'll find a job. I'll take care of everything. Your mother would never forgive me if I let you do that, Dr. Emeka said with a sad smile. She nearly died because she couldn't bear the thought of you not finishing school. Then what am I supposed to do? Chidinma asked, tears streaming down her face again. I can't let her work herself to death, but I can't pay for everything myself. Dr. Emeka was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that would change everything. There's something else you need to know about your mother. Something she made me promise never to tell you. Chidinma's heart stopped. What? When your mother first started working at the hospital, she would sometimes bring old medical textbooks with her during her breaks. She would study them, take notes, ask the doctors questions. We all thought it was just curiosity. But then one day, she helped save a patient's life. What do you mean? A man had a heart attack in the hallway while your mother was cleaning. She immediately began CPR, called for help, and kept him alive until the medical team arrived. Her technique was perfect, her knowledge was extensive. When we asked her where she learned it, she broke down and told us about medical school. Chidinma stared at him in shock. She saved someone's life? More than one, Dr. Emeka continued. Over the past 2 years, your mother has assisted in 3 emergency situations. She's caught medication errors, noticed symptoms the nurses missed, and even helped deliver a baby when the elevator broke down. She's been acting as an unofficial medical assistant while working as a cleaner. Why didn't she tell me any of this? Chidinma asked, her voice breaking. Because she didn't want you to feel guilty about her giving up her dreams, Dr. Emeka said. She wanted you to focus on your own future, not feel responsible for her past. But there was more. Dr. Emeka reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn envelope. She asked me to give this to you if anything ever happened to her. I think now is the right time. With trembling hands, Chidinma opened the envelope. Inside was a letter in her mother's handwriting, along with several documents she didn't recognize. My dearest Chi-Chi, the letter began. If you are reading this, then something has happened to me, and Dr. Emeka has decided you are ready to know the truth about everything. Chidinma's hands shook as she continued reading. I know you think I am just a cleaner, and I have let you believe that because I didn't want you to carry the weight of my sacrifices. But the truth is, I never stopped being the woman who was accepted to medical school. I never stopped learning, never stopped caring for people, never stopped dreaming of healing others. Every day at the hospital, I watch the doctors and nurses, and I remember what I could have been. But then I think of you, and I realize I became something even better. I became your mother. That is the greatest achievement of my life. But Chi-Chi, there are things you don't know. Things I have been hiding to protect you. The letter went on to explain that Adiz had been secretly saving money, not just for Chidinma's school fees, but for something much bigger. She had been planning to help Chidinma apply to medical school herself, using the knowledge she had gained over the years working at the hospital. I have been keeping track of your grades, your interests, your talents, the letter continued. You are smarter than I ever was, and you have the same caring heart that made me want to be a doctor. I believe you could be the doctor I never became. Chidinma looked up at Dr. Emeka, tears blurring her vision. She wants me to be a doctor? She's been preparing for it for years, Dr. Emeka said. Look at the other documents. Chidinma found papers that took her breath away. Her mother had been researching medical schools, scholarship programs, and entrance requirements. She had been tracking Chidinma's academic progress and comparing it to medical school admission standards. There were even practice tests and study guides. But the most shocking document was at the bottom of the pile. A bank account statement showing a balance of N500,000. 500,000 naira? Chidinma gasped. Where did this money come from? Your mother has been saving every extra penny for the past 5 years, Dr. Emeka explained. She's been living on almost nothing, working 3 jobs, and putting every bit of extra money into this account. It's for your medical school education. Chidinma felt like she was drowning in emotions. Her mother, who she had thought was lazy and unmotivated, had been planning her daughter's future as a doctor for years. She had been sacrificing not just her present, but her past dreams, to give Chidinma the opportunity she had never had. But there's more, Dr. Emeka said gently. Your mother has been corresponding with the admissions office at the University of Lagos Medical School. She's been trying to get you early admission based on your academic performance. He handed her another envelope, this one official-looking with the university seal. This came for you yesterday. Your mother asked me to hold on to it until after your final exams, but given the circumstances, Chidinma opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a letter that made her heart stop. Dear Miss Chidinma Okafor, we are pleased to inform you that based on your outstanding academic record and the recommendation from your sponsor, you have been granted early admission to the University of Lagos College of Medicine, contingent upon your successful completion of your current academic program. Early admission? Chidinma whispered. But I never applied. Your mother applied for you, Dr. Emeka said. She's been working with your teachers, gathering your transcripts, writing recommendation letters. She even wrote a personal statement on your behalf, describing your character and potential. Chidinma stared at the acceptance letter, unable to process what she was reading. Her mother had not only been working 3 jobs to pay for her current education, but she had been secretly arranging for her to become a doctor. She did all this without telling me? She wanted it to be a surprise, Dr. Emeka said. She was planning to tell you after your graduation. She wanted to see the look on your face when you realized that not only could you afford medical school, but you were already accepted. The weight of her mother's love and sacrifice hit Chidinma like a physical force. While she had been complaining about their small apartment and old furniture, her mother had been orchestrating her entire future. While she had been ashamed of her mother's work, her mother had been using that work to build connections and opportunities for her daughter. I have to see her, Chidinma said suddenly. I have to tell her I know. I have to thank her. Dr. Emeka's expression grew somber. She's still unconscious from the surgery. And Chidinma, there's something else you need to know. The way he said it made Chidinma's blood run cold. What? During the surgery, we discovered something that your mother has been hiding from everyone, including herself. She has been having chest pains and shortness of breath for months, but she's been ignoring the symptoms because she couldn't afford to miss work. What's wrong with her? She has a heart condition that has been developing for years, probably from the stress and overwork. If she had come to us sooner, we could have treated it easily. But she waited too long. And now? Now what? Chidinma demanded, though she was terrified of the answer. Now it's serious. She needs surgery to repair the damage to her heart, but it's risky and expensive. The kind of expensive that even the hospital employee insurance won't fully cover. Chidinma felt the world crashing down around her again. Just when she thought she understood the depth of her mother's love, just when she thought they might have a chance at happiness, another crisis emerged. How much? She asked quietly. 2 million naira, Dr. Emeka said. Maybe more, depending on complications. 2 million naira. It might as well have been 2 billion. Even with the money her mother had saved, even with the scholarship and job offer, it wasn't enough. What happens if she doesn't get the surgery? Chidinma asked, though she already knew the answer. Without the surgery, her heart will continue to weaken. She might have months, maybe a year if she's lucky. With the surgery, she could live a normal, healthy life for decades. Chidinma sat in silence, staring at the acceptance letter to medical school. Her mother had planned everything so perfectly, had sacrificed everything to give her this opportunity. But what good was becoming a doctor if she couldn't save her own mother? I'll find a way, Chidinma said finally. I'll sell everything we have. I'll work day and night. I'll find a way to get the money. Chidinma, Dr. Emeka said gently, even if you worked 3 jobs like your mother, it would take years to save that much money. And your mother doesn't have years. That's when Chidinma made a decision that would change everything. She stood up, folded the acceptance letter, and put it in her pocket. Then I'll give up medical school, she said firmly. I'll use the money my mother saved for my education to pay for her surgery instead. Dr. Emeka shook his head. She would never forgive you for that. She would rather die than see you give up your dreams for her. Then she'll have to live with my decision, Chidinma said. Just like I have to live with knowing that I spent years blaming her for everything wrong in my life when she was actually giving me everything right. As Chidinma walked toward her mother's room, she didn't know that her mother was already awake, lying in bed listening to every word through the thin hospital walls. Adiz had heard everything: the conversation with Dr. Emeka, the discovery of the medical school acceptance, and most importantly, her daughter's decision to sacrifice her future for her mother's life. And as a single tear rolled down her cheek, Adiz whispered into the empty room, "No, my Chi-Chi. I won't let you give up your dreams for me. Not when I've spent my entire life making sure you could have them." What neither of them knew was that someone else had been listening to their conversation. Someone who would soon make them an offer that would change everything, but at a price that might cost them more than they ever imagined. The next morning, Chidinma woke up in the uncomfortable hospital chair beside her mother's bed. Her neck was stiff, her clothes wrinkled, but she hadn't wanted to leave her mother's side. Adiz was awake, watching her daughter with eyes full of love and sadness. "Good morning, Chi-Chi," Adiz whispered, her voice still weak but stronger than the day before. "Mama," Chidinma said, immediately sitting up and taking her mother's hand. "How are you feeling?" "Better now that you're here," Adiz said with a small smile. "But we need to talk." Before Chidinma could respond, there was a soft knock at the door. Dr. Emeka entered, but he wasn't alone. Behind him stood a woman in an expensive suit, her jewelry gleaming under the hospital lights. She looked completely out of place in the sterile medical environment. "Mrs. Adiz, Chidinma," Dr. Emeka said, looking uncomfortable. "This is Mrs. Victoria Okonkwo. She has a proposition for you." The woman stepped forward with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Please call me Victoria. I hope you don't mind the intrusion, but I couldn't help overhearing your conversation yesterday." Chidinma felt a chill run down her spine. "You were listening to our private conversation?" "Not intentionally," Victoria said smoothly. "I was visiting my own family member in the room next door. But when I heard your story, I knew I had to help." "Help how?" Adiz asked suspiciously. Victoria pulled out a chair and sat down uninvited. "I'm a very wealthy woman," she said simply. "My husband owns several companies, and we have more money than we know what to do with. I would like to pay for your surgery, Mrs. Adiz. All of it, 2 million naira, plus any complications that might arise." Chidinma's mouth fell open. You would just give us 2 million naira? Consider it a gift," Victoria said with that same cold smile. "I believe in helping families in need." It seemed too good to be true. And as Chidinma had learned from her mother's hidden sacrifices, when something seemed too good to be true, it usually was. "What do you want in return?" Adiz asked, her voice sharp despite her weakness. Victoria's smile widened. "You're a smart woman, Mrs. Adiz. I like that. Yes, there is something I want in return." "What?" Chidinma asked, though she was already dreading the answer. "I want Chidinma to marry my son," Victoria said casually, as if she was discussing the weather. The room fell silent except for the beeping of medical machines. Chidinma stared at the woman in shock, unable to process what she had just heard. "Marry your son?" Chidinma repeated. "I don't even know your son. His name is Emeka, yes, like the good doctor here, but they're not related," Victoria said. "He's 25 years old, handsome, well-educated, and he will inherit my husband's business empire. Chidinma would never want for anything." "This is insane," Chidinma said, standing up. "You can't just buy a wife for your son." "I'm not buying anything," Victoria said calmly. "I'm making a business arrangement. Your mother gets the surgery she needs to live. You get financial security for the rest of your life. And my son gets a beautiful, intelligent wife from a good family." "We're not a good family," Chidinma said bitterly. "We're poor. We live in a tiny apartment. My mother works 3 jobs just to survive." "Which makes your mother a woman of incredible strength and character," Victoria said. And it makes you a girl who understands the value of hard work and sacrifice. These are exactly the qualities I want in a daughter-in-law. Adiz struggled to sit up in her bed. Absolutely not, she said firmly. My daughter is not for sale. Mrs. Adiz, Victoria said, her voice becoming colder. With respect, you're in no position to refuse. Without this surgery, you'll be dead within the year. And then what happens to Chidinma? She'll have to work 3 jobs just like you did, and she'll never make it to medical school. I'd rather die than sell my daughter, Adiz said, her voice growing stronger with anger. That's very noble, Victoria said. But is it fair to Chidinma? Is it fair to let her watch you die slowly when there's a way to save you? Chidinma felt like she was trapped in a nightmare. This woman was offering to save her mother's life, but the price was Chidinma's freedom, her dreams, her future. What about medical school? Chidinma asked quietly. I was just accepted. You can forget about medical school, Victoria said dismissively. My son's wife won't need to work. You'll have servants, a beautiful home, everything you could ever want. Except my dreams, Chidinma said. Dreams don't pay for heart surgery, Victoria replied coldly. Dreams don't keep your mother alive. Dr. Emeka, who had been silent throughout this exchange, finally spoke up. Mrs. Okonkwo, I don't think this is appropriate. You're taking advantage of a family in crisis. I'm offering a solution to their crisis, Victoria corrected. No one is forcing anyone to do anything. It's simply a choice. But it wasn't really a choice, and everyone in the room knew it. It was an ultimatum. Marry the son or watch the mother die. I need time to think, Chidinma said, her voice shaking. Of course, Victoria said, standing up. But not too much time. Your mother's condition is serious, and these things are time-sensitive. She placed a business card on the bedside table. Call me when you've decided. But remember, this offer won't last forever. After Victoria left, the room felt heavy with despair. Dr. Emeka excused himself, saying he would give them privacy to discuss their options. Mama, Chidinma said, taking her mother's hand. What am I supposed to do? You're supposed to let me die, Adiz said firmly. I won't let you sacrifice your life for mine. But I can't let you die when there's a way to save you, Chidinma said, tears streaming down her face. What kind of daughter would I be? The kind of daughter who lives her own life, Adiz said. Chi-Chi, I have lived my life. I gave up my dreams so you could have yours. If you give up your dreams to save me, then everything I sacrificed was for nothing. But you'll die without the surgery. Then I'll die knowing that my daughter will become a doctor, Adiz said. That's a good death. Chidinma shook her head. I can't make that choice. I can't choose between your life and my dreams. Then let me make the choice for you, Adiz said. I choose your dreams. But as they talked, neither of them noticed that someone was listening outside their door again. This time, it was Victoria's son, Emeka Okonkwo, who had come to the hospital to see what kind of girl his mother was trying to force him to marry. What he saw was a young woman torn between love for her mother and her own future, sitting beside a woman who was willing to die rather than see her daughter trapped in a loveless marriage. And for the first time in his privileged life, Emeka Okonkwo realized that real love looked nothing like what he had grown up seeing in his family's world of business transactions and social climbing. Later that evening, as Chidinma sat in the hospital cafeteria, staring at a cup of coffee she couldn't afford but had bought anyway, a young man approached her table. Excuse me, he said quietly. Are you Chidinma? She looked up to see a handsome man about her age, well-dressed but with kind eyes that seemed somehow familiar. Yes, she said cautiously. Who are you? I'm Emeka Okonkwo, he said, sitting down across from her. I'm the son you're supposed to marry. Chidinma's heart stopped. You're him. I'm him, Emeka said with a sad smile. And I need to tell you something that might change everything. What? I don't want to marry you either, he said simply. And I think I know a way we can save your mother without either of us having to sacrifice our lives. Chidinma stared at him in shock. What are you talking about? My mother thinks she's very clever, Emeka said. But she doesn't know everything about me. There are things about my life, about my family's business, that could be used to help you without anyone having to get married. I don't understand. Emeka looked around the cafeteria, making sure no one was listening. Then he leaned forward and whispered, My family's money isn't exactly legal, and I have proof. Chidinma's eyes widened. You're talking about blackmail? I'm talking about justice, Emeka said. My mother has been using dirty money to control people for years. It's time someone used that against her for a good cause. But if you expose your own family, then maybe some good will finally come from all the bad they've done, Emeka said. Your mother deserves to live, and you deserve to become a doctor. And neither of you should have to sacrifice everything for the other. As Emeka explained his plan, Chidinma realized that this stranger might be offering her the impossible, a way to save her mother's life without destroying her own future. But as she listened to the details of what he was proposing, she also realized that accepting his help would mean becoming part of a dangerous game that could destroy all their lives if it went wrong. So what do you say? Emeka asked when he finished explaining. Are you willing to take the risk? Chidinma looked toward the elevator that led to her mother's room, where the woman who had given up everything for her was lying in a hospital bed, possibly dying. Then she looked at the young man across from her, who was offering to risk everything to help two strangers. What happens if we get caught? She asked. We go to prison, Emeka said simply. All of us. But if we don't try, your mother dies anyway, and you spend the rest of your life regretting that you didn't fight for her. Chidinma closed her eyes and thought about all the sacrifices her mother had made, all the dreams she had given up, all the love she had shown even when Chidinma didn't deserve it. When she opened her eyes, her decision was made. Tell me exactly what we need to do, she said. But as they began planning their dangerous scheme, neither of them knew that Victoria Okonkwo was already one step ahead of them, and that the price of their betrayal might be higher than either of them could imagine. 3 days later, Chidinma sat in her mother's hospital room, holding a phone that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. On the other end of the line, Victoria Okonkwo was waiting for her answer. Well, Victoria's voice was cold and impatient. Have you made your decision? The wedding can be arranged for next month, right after your mother's surgery. Chidinma looked at her mother, who was shaking her head desperately, mouthing the word no over and over again. Then she looked at the window where she could see Emeka Okonkwo in the parking lot, waiting in his car with the evidence that could destroy his family but save theirs. I need one more day, Chidinma said finally. One more day. Victoria's laugh was harsh. My dear, your mother's heart is failing. Every hour you delay could be her last. But very well. One more day. After that, the offer expires. As Chidinma hung up the phone, she felt the weight of everyone's lives pressing down on her shoulders. Her mother's life, her own future, and now Emeka's freedom all depended on the choice she made. Chi-Chi, Adiz whispered. You know what you have to do. I have to save you, Chidinma said firmly. No, Adiz said, struggling to sit up. You have to let me go. I can't, Chidinma said, tears streaming down her face. I just found out how much you love me. I just learned about all the things you gave up for me. I can't lose you now. But you can't sacrifice your entire life for me either, Adiz said. That's not what love is, Chi-Chi. Love is wanting the best for someone, even when it hurts. Then why did you sacrifice everything for me? Chidinma asked. Why did you give up medical school, work 3 jobs, starve yourself? If sacrifice isn't love, then what was all that? Adiz was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, That was me being selfish. Selfish? Chidinma stared at her mother in shock. How was any of that selfish? Because I did it for me, not for you, Adiz said, her voice breaking. I did it because I couldn't bear the thought of living without you. When I found out I was pregnant, I could have made a different choice. But I chose to keep you because I wanted you, not because it was what was best for you. Mama, don't say that. It's true, Adiz continued. And then, when you were born, I kept making choices for my own happiness. I worked those jobs because seeing you succeed made me happy. I starved myself because knowing you had food made me happy. I gave up my dreams because watching you chase yours made me happy. That's not selfish, Chidinma said. That's love. Maybe, Adiz said. But now I have to love you the right way. I have to choose what's best for you, not what's best for me. And what's best for you is to become a doctor, to have the life I never had. What's best for me is having my mother alive, Chidinma said stubbornly.
No, Kiki, adaetze sai gently.
What's best for you is learning to make your own choices, to live your own life. And you can't do that if you're trapped in a marriage you don't want. As they talked, neither of them noticed that Dr. Emeka had entered the room and was standing quietly by the door, listening to their conversation. I'm sorry to interrupt, he said finally, but there's something you both need to know. What is it? Chidinma asked. I've been talking to some colleagues about your mother's case, Dr. Emeka said, and I think we might have another option. What kind of option? Adiz asked suspiciously. A clinical trial, Dr. Emeka said. There's a new surgical technique being tested at the University of Lagos Medical Center. It's experimental, but it's also free for qualified patients. Chidinma's heart leaped. Are you saying there might be a way to save her without the marriage? I'm saying there might be, Dr. Emeka said carefully. But there are risks. The surgery is experimental, which means it might not work. And even if it does work, your mother would be part of a study, which means constant monitoring and follow-up treatments for years. What are the chances of success? Adiz asked. About 60%, Dr. Emeka said. Better than no surgery, but not as good as the traditional surgery that Mrs. Okonkwo is offering to pay for. Chidinma felt a spark of hope, but also fear. 60%. It was better than nothing, but it was still a gamble with her mother's life. There's something else, Dr. Emeka said. I spoke with the head of the medical school. If you're accepted into the clinical trial, and if you're willing to help with the research as a pre-med student, they might be able to offer you a full scholarship to medical school. A full scholarship? Chidinma whispered. It would mean working long hours, helping with research, and studying harder than you've ever studied before, Dr. Emeka said. But it would also mean becoming a doctor without debt, and it would mean staying close to your mother during her recovery. For the first time in days, Chidinma felt like she could breathe. There was a third option, a way to save her mother and pursue her dreams without marrying a stranger or risking prison. But, Dr. Emeka continued, there's a catch. The clinical trial only accepts a limited number of patients. And Mrs. Okonkwo has connections at the university. If she finds out about this option, she might be able to block your mother's acceptance. So we have to keep it secret? Chidinma asked. Until your mother is officially accepted, yes, Dr. Emeka said, which means you have to decide right now, before Mrs. Okonkwo suspects anything. Chidinma looked at her mother, who was staring at her with hope and fear in her eyes. What do you think, Mama? Chidinma asked. I think, Adiz said slowly, that 60% is better than 0%. And I think that if there's a chance for both of us to have our dreams, we should take it. Even if it's risky? Chi-chi, Adiz said, taking her daughter's hand. I've been taking risks my whole life. I took a risk when I chose to have you. I took a risk when I gave up medical school. I took a risk every day when I worked 3 jobs and hoped it would be enough. This is just one more risk. And if it doesn't work? Chidinma asked quietly. Then at least we'll have tried, Adiz said. And you'll still have your future. Dr. Emeka stepped forward. I need to know now. Are you willing to try the clinical trial? Chidinma looked at her mother, the woman who had given up everything for her, who had worked herself nearly to death to give her opportunities, who had loved her even when she didn't deserve it. Yes, Chidinma said. We'll try. What happened next was a whirlwind of paperwork, tests, and anxious waiting. Dr. Emeka worked behind the scenes to get Adiz accepted into the clinical trial before Victoria Okonkwo could interfere. Meanwhile, Chidinma had to pretend she was still considering the marriage proposal, buying them time. On the day of the surgery, Chidinma sat in the waiting room, her heart pounding with fear and hope. The experimental surgery would take 6 hours, and there was no guarantee her mother would survive. But as she waited, she thought about all the sacrifices her mother had made, all the love she had shown, all the dreams she had given up. And she realized that the greatest gift she could give her mother was not just saving her life, but living her own life to the fullest. When Dr. Emeka finally emerged from the operating room, his face was tired but smiling. "The surgery was successful," he said. "Your mother is going to live." Chidinma broke down crying, not from sadness this time, but from pure joy and relief. Her mother was going to live and she was going to become a doctor. But the story didn't end there. As Adiz recovered, she and Chidinma had many long conversations about love, sacrifice, and dreams. They talked about the past, about the misunderstandings and hurt feelings, about the words they wished they had said differently. "I'm sorry I blamed you for everything," Chidinma said one day as they sat together in the hospital garden. "I'm sorry I let you blame me," Adiz replied. "I should have told you the truth about everything. You had a right to know." "Why didn't you tell me?" Chidinma asked. "Because I was afraid," Adiz said honestly. "I was afraid that if you knew how much I had given up for you, you would feel guilty and make choices based on that guilt instead of your own desires. But I made choices based on ignorance instead," Chidinma said. "I spent years resenting you for things that weren't even true." "We both made mistakes," Adiz said. "But look where we are now. You're going to be a doctor, I'm going to recover, and we finally understand each other." "What about your dreams?" Chidinma asked. "You gave up so much. Don't you regret it?" Adiz looked at her daughter, healthy and happy and full of potential, and smiled. "Chichi, you were my dream. Every sacrifice I made was worth it to see you become the amazing woman you are today." "But you could have been a doctor too," Chidinma said. "Maybe," Adiz said, "but I became something better. I became your mother." As they sat together in the sunshine, Chidinma realized that her mother's love had been there all along, hidden in every meal she cooked, every bill she paid, every sacrifice she made. She had been loved completely and unconditionally, even when she hadn't known it, even when she hadn't deserved it. And now, as she prepared to start medical school, Chidinma carried with her not just her own dreams, but the love and sacrifice of a mother who had given everything to make those dreams possible. The last scene of our story takes place 5 years later. Dr. Chidinma Okafor stood in the same hospital where her mother had nearly died. But now she was wearing a white coat and stethoscope instead of tears and desperation. She had just finished her residency and was about to start her own practice. Her mother, fully recovered and now working as a patient advocate at the hospital, stood beside her, beaming with pride. "Dr. Okafor," a nurse called out, "your first patient is ready." As Chidinma walked toward the examination room, she carried with her the memory of her mother's unseen tears, the tears shed in secret for love, for sacrifice, for dreams both given up and fulfilled. She had learned that love isn't always visible, that sacrifice isn't always understood, and that sometimes the greatest gift we can give someone is the chance to live their own life, make their own choices, and find their own dreams. Her mother's unseen tears had watered the seeds of her future, and now Dr. Chidinma Okafor was ready to help other families navigate their own storms of love, sacrifice, and hope. The story ends with a truth that took a lifetime to learn. Sometimes the greatest love is the love we don't see, the sacrifices we don't know about, and the dreams that are given up so others can fly. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, we discover that love before it's too late to say thank you. Lesson: appreciate your parents while they're alive. Their sacrifices are deeper than we can ever imagine. The love of a parent is often invisible, working behind the scenes to make our dreams possible. Don't wait until it's too late to see the tears they shed for you, the meals they skip for you, the dreams they give up for you. Tell them you love them. Thank them for their sacrifices. And remember that sometimes the greatest gift you can give them in return is to live the life they made possible for you.